Yeah, not new but true.
I'm just Tosh.
You gon' do you.
I'm just Tosh.
No fear, no shame.
I'm just Tosh.
I always say
I'm just Tosh.
not new but true. Just time. You gon' do you. Yeah. No fear, no shame. I always say just time. Just time. Yeah. I'm just time. Just time. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm just Tosh. I'm just Tosh. Okay, I'm just Tosh. That's me. I'm just Tosh. Come on, just Tosh. Hey, I'm just Tosh. Alright, it's just Tosh. Yeah, I'm just Tosh. Vibe with me now. I love it. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Just Tosh.
Yes.
And we're knee deep in the new series. So it's not really new, but it's new. It's new. The series is I'm working on my roar. And as you can see, I am joined with my very first in-person special guest,
I'm here.
who just happens to be my husband, the King. So come on, y'all, put your virtual hands together for the King. William Jenkins. Say hi to the people, husband.
Hello. Hello to the people.
Hello to the people. Hello to the people.
To the people.
So listen, he is here because we're diving into a subject matter that involves the two of us. As we would have it, I think both of us are on the journey with rebuilding self-confidence. Would you agree?
I would agree 100%.
Yeah. And that's what is, I would say that's the beauty of this series. It's not just about a woman or an older woman, if you will. This is for anyone who has lived their life, and then you discover along the way that there are some things and areas that could stand for improvement.
Right.
And this is what the series is all about with I'm Working on My Roar.
Working on our roar. Me
So,
too.
yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So in this episode, we are talking about some things that have transpired in our lives. So we're going to discuss it and then unpack the title. The title, we're talking about repair it so you won't repeat it. Repair it so you won't repeat it. So to repair is to restore by replacing a part or putting together what is torn or broken.
Wow.
Exactly. Now to repeat, I'm going to go with the number 2 clause in the definition. It's to make, do, or perform again. With that definition, I do want to share something that I experienced here recently. I have discussed my youngest child or our youngest child, how she loves being affectionate, if you will. And she's always hugging on me, touching on me, putting her feet on me. And this past week, I think it was like Monday when I was at work, that I began like almost crying while on the job, like out of nowhere. I started getting sad and really teary-eyed. And then what I was sad about was the fact that I realized she was the night before trying to put her feet on me while we're watching a movie, right? We're all in the living room watching it together. And when she tried to put her feet on me, what did I do?
She made some type of excuse, you know. She don't like to be touched when she don't like to be touched, like, you know. So if it's an awkward moment for her, she's gonna be like, "Hey, look over there," or "Hey, go do this for me real quick," or you know, it's an awkward moment for her.
Right. I'm always making up some type of excuse, or I'm like motioning, I'm blocking, right? And it happens like without thought, okay? And so that's why I was sad, because if you know me, you know how I feel about my youngest child, or our youngest child. She's my only daughter that I gave birth to. And so I'm close to her. I want her to know that I care.
Right.
Right. I want her to know that it's okay. I want to be affectionate with her. But here's this area that I'm still struggling in, even though I have shared with the family, like, I
Right.
want to do better in this
Right.
area. Right.
Yeah.
So it's sad because, man, I still haven't overcome this.
Mm.
Right. And I'm like, what do I do? And the Lord moves on me to have a conversation with her that night. So I did. You were in the living room. I was talking to her. JoJo ended up coming in. And I shared with her, I'm like, well, I asked her, do you know the reason why I like block you or make an excuse when you come in to try to be affectionate or get a hug? And she said she didn't really know.
Okay.
She kind of think it's like a little game, right? She think I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, let me tell you why. So I let her know that, I have had a period of time in my adolescence where I was touched inappropriately. It wasn't in my control. A lot of things I don't even fully recall, but it makes me feel awkward when someone comes into my personal space.
Right.
If I didn't invite you there.
Right.
And unfortunately, it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
I am this way. I will like block you. I go into like this self protecting mode, right? And I let her know that I'd like you to help me in this process, because I know she will, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
You're gonna make it happen.
I
Right.
need some help, I said, I want to hug you. I want your little nasty feet on me on occasion. So I'm like, hug me, do it anyway.
Right.
If I am trying to push you away, let's just work through that. And so fast forward from that conversation, she let me know some issues that she was having. And what it boils down to is, pastor preached about sins of the father.
Right.
If undealt with, right, revisiting generations even after, or if that person was dead and gone,
That's
how
crazy.
we can revisit, right?
Yeah, it's definitely crazy where that can happen. Where a lot of times we wonder, not only does disease or issues, diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension. Not only does that transfers down,
Wow.
to family members in cases, but there's two parts.
Yeah.
There's the mental and the physical. We always talk about the physical, what is being transferred down, but even mentally, even things that people have issues with, our fathers, our mothers, our grandparents, that we don't know emotionally.
Yeah.
That can be transferred down as well, and that's what she's talking about as far as what our pastor was talking about. It can come on down, and you be wondering why do I feel this way? Why do I do this, or why do I do that?
Or why don't I?
Or why don't I? Yeah, exactly. And it could be because of things that happened in the past from your elders or stuff like that.
And this is what we discovered, right? Whatever we were feeling, she was sharing some struggles as a teen that she has. And to hear this from my child, imagine if we have these types of conversations with our children,
right? To
open up the door for them to share the areas that they're struggling in that we may not have been aware of.
Right.
So there was that, right? And upon our conversation, we were saying what should happen is that we should replace lust with love.
Right.
So now let's move on to my husband.
Well, for me, and like we were talking about how things can get, transferred down.
Yeah.
I have my mother, I had, a stepfather, I have a biological father, things like that. And we'll talk about that dynamic. in a different time, in a different space. But this
Right.
it's relevant to what we're talking about today, right? So with that being said, is I used to always get it, especially, oh man, you're just like your father, you're just like, you got your ways like your dad, you got ways, and growing up, I never knew what that meant.
Wow.
What does that mean, right? My mother got remarried when I was pretty young, about 6 years old.
Mm.
My mother got remarried to my stepfather, so he played that role for me. But I still had my natural father around. I still seen him at certain times, which is, like Christmas and holidays and things like that. I never had a chance to live with him. I never even heard his side of the story. From what I know, my parents split when I was 2. So I never knew really what happened, and a lot of information never got to me, as far as like what happened. So a lot of times, I'm still in a way where I was a quiet guy, quiet kid, very, very quiet kid.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really speak up for myself. Had people speak up for me.
Mm-hmm.
My mother would speak up for me, family members and things like that would, speak up. And I just thought hey, okay, cool. I got a protection group and things like that. But ultimately, it impacted me in this way when I get older, right? I'm 50 now. I can't.
Fine and 50. Let's just give
all
God praise.
right. Amen.
Okay, go
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't have my mother speak up for me. I can't have, my sisters, my brothers, my cousins, speak up for me.
Right.
I got children to deal with, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what happened from not really speaking up in certain situations and not, saying like demanding things, I thought the easy route is cool. I'm gonna let you do your thing. It created non-confrontation in me, not realizing it, but it created, I'd rather not have confrontation. So from a young guy, I always be like, cool, you got it, whatever. Now, hey, if things happen, not saying I'm running from it, but I would rather not have to deal with it, right? I would rather say, you good. I'll let you have it, you know what I'm saying, instead of fighting for something. And unfortunately, I believe that really impacted me, with my relationships with my children, where I'm quiet. If they want to do some things or do this, even though it'll bother me, I may not say nothing.
Yeah.
And what am I teaching them if I don't say anything? Now, if something is bothering them, they, not probably, I know they do the same thing.
Right.
Right. Especially, my son and daughter and stuff like that. It's a struggle right now where I'm working on relationships with my adult children, and trying to pull things out of them. But what have I shown them all their lives?
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I shown them like, yeah, just be cool, and I've shown them like, even though they do, it's funny though, because they both work hard. They both hard workers. But when it comes to communication, especially with me, because I didn't open up that window for them. When it comes to communication with me, it's hey, and I've let it go. All right, cool. What you doing today? Nothing. How was your day? Cool. All right. Well, hey, I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. That's how the conversations go, right? And we are building. It's tough, but we are building right now. And what we're trying to do is break that.
Right.
Break that, like she was saying, from lust to love. Me, I got to put in not affectionate love and put in affectionate love.
Yes.
Right. So I got to put that in there. You know what I mean? So it's a little different for me. You know what I mean? Love wasn't there like it should be as far as affectionately, but I have to put it in. I have to display it and show it
Yeah.
like intentionally, you know,
Mhm.
and not just say it. So
Learning how to,
Yeah.
give effort. I'm really thankful
It's tough.
for these examples, because you would think that hugging your child would be easy. I gave birth to them,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But to tell people that I have a hard time with hugging my children. And I covered it by saying I don't like hugs.
Right.
So I've told everybody that I don't
She
like
told
hugs.
everybody.
But the truth is, I think I'm really loving.
You are.
I'm very affectionate.
She is. She comes up to me all the time and be wanting hugs
I'm very
all the
affectionate,
time,
right?
like at the most inopportune times too.
I
She'd be
prefer
like,
to hug it when you don't want to hug.
she'd be like, want a hug, and I'd be like, no, like, you know. But the thing is that also
Yeah.
not realizing that you have an issue, or you had an issue
I had
with
an
love,
issue.
no longer an issue, but had an
Yeah.
issue, because we're working on that, had an
Mhm.
issue with that. What I do as a husband for her, right, is only
Tell the
going
people,
to
yes.
help her in the long run. Like what she would do for me,
Yeah.
you know, when she tells me about my kids, is because when it comes to kids, if she, even though she wasn't hugging, she is in a business.
Yes.
She is gonna knock on the door. She gonna call them. She gonna text. She gonna say, "Hey, how you doing? What's happening? What's going on?" And that wasn't me.
Uh-huh.
And so from her, what I'm learning is you got to be, if you want an open relationship. Now, when they come to her about stuff,
Everything.
you know what I'm saying? Like whatever. If something really going on, they come to her, "Hey, mom, this is what's happening. This is what's going on." And I yearn for that, because I want my children to do the same thing. But how do I get there?
Mm.
Right? How do I get there?
Which brings us to the definition. That was great, husband.
Mm-hmm.
Is I hope that you're getting something from this,
Right.
because where we are right now is the understanding that there is a way to change it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to stay the way it has always been.
Right.
Both of these situations, the reasons behind the way we're responding to certain things,
Mm-hmm.
neither one of us initiated, caused.
Right.
You know, it's not our fault, right? That's the truth of the matter, right? I was a child when someone with inordinate affections, you
Yeah.
know, was doing inappropriate things to me. That
Right.
wasn't my fault,
Right.
right? But I have like tried to shield myself.
Right.
You being a child and your parents moving on in different directions was not your fault either. Just
Right.
like with our children, right?
Right.
Because we
Exactly.
have a blended family as well.
We do.
So our children should not, be responsible for our choices that
Right.
had nothing to do with them in
Right.
essence. So what do we do? So according to the definition, and this is what we were having a conversation about, is the understanding that in order for things to change, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order for the matter not to be repeated, because our whole conversation with our youngest daughter was from a place that this can't be repeated anymore.
No.
It won't happen.
Right.
So what do we need to do? We need to repair it. That's what the Lord
Repair.
began to tell me. And when you repair something, it is to restore it.
Mm.
By doing what? By replacing a part. My husband was saying about a transmission
Yeah.
in a vehicle.
Yeah.
He was giving me this analogy. And you were saying, what about the transmission?
So when you're repairing something,
Mhm.
right? Usually in anything, once you repair something, you repair the transmission, right? A lot of times with the transmission is if you can't repair the broken pieces that's already in there.
Okay.
You can't just be like, oh, this is out of place. Oh, this is out of place. Put it back
pieces.
together. Same pieces. You
Mhm.
can't put that back together. Usually that broken piece, whatever it is, you got to take it out
Yeah.
and put something new in there.
Yes.
You know, once you put that new piece in there, it's going to run like it's supposed to,
Exactly.
right? That broken piece is no longer no good. You can't use that broken piece anymore.
Same car,
Same car,
but a new.
a new piece in
New
that
piece.
transmission.
Mhm.
You know, it's a new piece in that transmission. And with that being said, you cannot, and the same thing in your life
Yeah.
is you can't fix or heal the broken that's in you, right? To make it, you gotta replace it with something.
Mhm.
You gotta replace it with something new. Now you can heal. Now, don't get me wrong, you can heal
by replacing,
but you gotta replace it. And that's what
Yes.
she was saying. Replace it with love, from lust to love.
Yes.
And replacing it from non-physical touch to physical touch.
Mhm.
Because with me now, not only is it helping both of us, but it's helping me in a way where, hey man, I know my parents love me. I know my stepfather loved me. I know my mother loved me. I know they cared for me, right? They make sure I was okay.
Yeah.
They gave me what I needed.
Yeah.
But as a child growing up, you need different things. And I didn't realize this until older. And now I have children.
Yeah.
And now my children are like, she always say like, they just like you.
It's a tough
They're
realization.
like you in a way where you don't speak like how I would speak to my parents, like how I just kind of be like, whatever. That's kind of how my children are with me, right? I mean, they love me. They text me. They call me every now and then. They do something like that. And when we do talk, we have some, pretty cool conversations.
Like a take it or leave it.
But
you
it
don't
ain't
necessarily have to have it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It ain't in depth. It ain't like, hey dad, this is what's going on in my life. I need some help. I need your assistance, which I want, which I yearn for, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
which you will have.
Which is on the brink.
That's right.
It's on the brink. So it's never too late. Ultimately, it's never
not too late.
Right.
And we did all of this, sharing to let you know, like this past, I don't know, sometime this week, but my daughter has been like hugging me more often. The other day we were watching TV. You see her get on me. She was like trying to hover over me. And I'm like, a lot of times it's based on how I'm sitting. And I'm like, no, don't sit on me like this or whatever. But I'm like, okay, right when I said that, she was going to move out of the way. But I'm like, no, don't move. Let's just adjust how you are coming in because I want you to hug me.
Yeah.
So she came in and I literally found myself holding her and I was patting her back and like my feet was tapping just like when she would be a baby and the mother would be rocking and I felt her body relax, right? And I didn't tell her this, but it was such a good feeling to know like that I can have a normal, right? This is a normal feeling. She came from me. She's my child, right? And sometimes things have transpired. This is to the person that has been molested. This is to the person that has been abandoned, right? Neglected. You can grow up in a 2-parent household and still be neglected.
Right.
It can very well happen.
Yeah.
Your parents could very much be walking around and speaking in tongues in Jesus' name and don't know what your favorite color is.
All right.
It can happen.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we're saying that if you don't want things to continue to be repeated, right? Like you said, break the cycle. Even though your adult children, we talk about that. Even though they're adults, you still have breath in your body, right? Now that we understand and now that we have an ability to work on our roar, that is a part of rebuilding your self-confidence because a part of you speaking, right? Communicating, saying, you know what, as a father, I want you around.
Right.
Sometimes I believe that for men, it could be challenging just to say, I want you here.
Yeah.
I don't know why we make people feel uncomfortable with that. That's why I didn't say I wanted hugs for so long. I thought something was wrong with saying that. I want a hug from you. Right? it's good to express ourselves. So I just want to encourage you that you don't have to repeat it, right? You can repair it,
Yeah.
but figure out what needs to be replaced. What can you put in that position,
Ultimately.
right?
Yeah.
So you can continue.
Right.
I'm just Tosh, but it's new on the inside. Okay, whether you know it or not, it's missing replacements going on, and I'm running smoother. Oh, come on, somebody. I'm running smoother. How about you, husband?
I'm all right.
You got any closing words?
I think that a lot of people go through stuff and don't realize what the reason is behind it.
Yeah.
And it's not just physical ailments,
Mm-hmm.
it's emotional ailments. It's mental ailments that do get passed down as well. And those are overlooked. Most of the time we're worried about the physical ailments that, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents passed down to us. And you hear that, which is crazy, is like from your doctors. That's why they ask you, hey, do your mother have this? Do your father have this? Do they have this or that? Because they can see the trend and why you may have something like that.
Right.
Do your mother or father smoke? You may have never smoked in your life, but do your mother or father smoke?
Right.
Do your mother or father have mental issues? Right. But we don't really dive too much into that side of it more than the physical side.
True.
We usually dive into the physical side. You got diabetes because your parents had diabetes, or it's passed down, hereditary things passed down. But closing with this is mentally and emotionally, those ailments can be hereditary too. But how do you break them? It's by replacing whatever that is,
yes,
or whatever you need. Repair. That's my.
That was very good. I hope that something was said to encourage. I love opening up. I'm very blessed to have an amazing spouse that we are growing together. It really is a wonderful experience, and it's not too late to learn, to rebuild, right? To do better in your life. So this week, I hope you don't miss an opportunity to grow with God. Y'all take care. Bye.